joined now by someone who has a long association with Doctor Who, having played all sorts of monsters, everything from Daleks, Cybermen, and all sorts in between. So I'd like to introduce supporting artist, Richard Highgate. How are you?
Hi. Yeah, I'm all right. I have a follow-up question to that. What is in between Cyberman and Dalek? Because they're both kind of cyborgs in armor.
Well, you've got things like the Mire, the Dalek
Yeah.
skeleton, all sorts, I'd have said. Jadoon.
I'll take issue with that one. Because, cyborgs in armor, Jadoon are just in armor. I'd put them off to one side. But anyway, yes, I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, not bad, thanks. And keeping yourself busy during all this?
No. Everything is awful. Everything is absolutely awful. There is nothing to do outside because everything's shut down. And I am pretty much just entrapped here in my green screen studio, plugged into Twitch all day.
Oh, well, that's, you keep me going to the at least. And, well, let me take you back to Doctor Who then. And how did you first get involved with the monster side of things and all the prosthetics?
Right. Well, first gig on Doctor Who was actually a fairly boring one. It was just sat inside one of the new Paradigm Daleks in Asylum of the Daleks. But I was brought in during that. Let's see, was that? No, actually, the first thing was the Dalek zombie. A couple of days before the Parliament of the Daleks, I was brought in for that because I've got. Let's see. So I had 5 years stage combat experience, a bit of dance experience, and a lot of combat experience with Dark Age and medieval reenactment for 20 years previously to that. So I was brought in for movement skills, combat skills, and the fact that I can take an absolute pummeling and still get up and come back in if something goes wrong, which it did. As the Dalek zombies on the shuttlecraft, if you remember that bit, where the Doctor and was it Amy or Clara? I can't remember. All the companions just roll into one eventually. It was Amy Pond, wasn't it? Yes, it was. They're fighting through, and the zombies get up, and Matt Smith climbs over a chair and kicks one full in the chest, sending him backwards into the wall. That was me. I had to take I had to take Matt's heel in my chest several times before I just went, Matt. When you kick me, just put your ball of your foot on me and push, rather than just getting your entire body weight in and smashing my sternum. Because, quite frankly, at the end of the day, I don't want to be coughing up that much blood again. And yeah, so that was my first experience, just being kicked half to death by Matt Smith. But yeah, brought in purely for my combat skills.
And so then, was it always the case that you would go on to play a Dalek in the story, or was that after the first part, you seem to, it worked and let's get you back sort of thing?
Yeah, it's one of those things, again, that once you're brought in as a Doctor Who monster, they will, as long as you're the right size for the monster's costume, they will keep bringing you in because they know you and they know you can do a good job. Some people drop out because they just can't do the jobs because they got other work, or they just don't feel up to it because some of the costumes are really hard work. So you got the hardcore, myself, Mickey Lewis, John Davey, a fair few others who've been going through it all the way because we love it. And even though at the end of the day, we are hurting, bruised, and generally in need of a really long shower, they know we'll just keep coming back because it's iconic roles, and quite frankly, we like getting paid.
In Asylum of the Daleks, you were, am I thinking, one of the sort of larger progenitor Daleks. How are they to operate? Are they quite straightforward?
Oh, they are amazing. They are absolutely amazing compared to the bronzes, and certainly the old 1970s, 1980s, which I couldn't actually fit into. I think Phil and oh god, Phil and Chris were in the originals, and they hated it. But yeah, my first experience of a Dalek was one of the new Paradigm Daleks, or the Angry Crayons, as I call them. But yeah, it's brilliant. You've got a nice little bench. You've got elbow room. There's where the main skirt of the Dalek meets the body of the Dalek. You've got a shelf about 8-9 inches wide that you can put a book on. You can get biscuits on. I had an entire larder going on, and from the headstalk, I had a dynamo-powered torch, so I could just hang that up there and read a book. It was the best week and the easiest week of my life. It's like, yeah, I'm watching Doctor Who from inside a Dalek. I've got everything I need, as long as I don't want to go to the toilet.
Am I right in thinking there's something of a hierarchy between Dalek operators as to who gets which one, and the formation that Daleks move in?
Yeah, so when you've got multiple Daleks, generally the ones that work best, because they're all a bit shonky, are put in the front. And people like Barnaby, Barnaby and Nick, who've been doing it for decades, they'll be put in those. They are the main Dalek operators. And then next row back is probably John Davey, myself, or Mickey. And then at the back, you've got the ones who've got like one wheel, and you've got to kind of hoist them up on your shoulders, and not quite that bad, and move them on. So yeah, you don't actually get assigned Daleks. It's which ones have been repaired most get put at the front, and then the best people to operate them get put in those. So it's luck of the draw.
And when you first play a Dalek, do you get sort of a training day, or is it just on the first day of set, like get in it and this is how you do it?
Yeah, we had a training day in a certain place just to the south of where I live. I can't say anything about it because it's quite undercover. It's where they make all of the Doctor Who props. But yeah, we had a training day a couple of weeks before the Asylum of the Dalek Parliament scene, where we didn't have to do anything anyway. And we're given obstacle courses. There's tuition on how to move and track people with the head while moving, it is quite difficult, because you've got to kind of have one hand up here controlling the eye stalk, and one hand on either the gun or the plunger, and you've got to jam your elbows in and kind of use your entire body mass and central core to kind of just go, oh God, move around, you bugger, while holding that steady, it really is quite difficult, especially with some of the Daleks with like the wheels that haven't been oiled or that need replacing, or the Black Dalek, which was used as, I think, Dalek Sec in the Cult of Skaro, where the rear wheels are fixed forwards and only the front wheel rotates. So you can't do the on-the-spot 360 that other Daleks can. You have to go round in a circle, which means in tight spaces, Dalek Sec cannot work. It just has to back up going beep, beep, beep. And yeah, that's not a good look. Let's see, what else did we do? I think that was more or less it for the first training day. And when we were brought back for an episode, which I can't mention at the moment, we had another little training, couple of hours at the same place. Nick was delayed in traffic, and so it's like, right, we got some Daleks here. Right, who's new? Right, you get in there, and with just in the skirt, and we'll just roll you up and down, and you can get used to that, and then we'll put the collar on, and you can get used to that. I think we had 3 people just rolling up and down this one little passageway and putting bins out And then Nick arrived and said, right, okay, so let's get these things done. Right, who hasn't done this? It's, Nick, we've done that one, done that, okay, done that. Right, he said, I'll just go and get a coffee then, carry on. And yeah, eventually it was just, right, okay, everyone in, and we're going to have a little gap which is 1.5 inches wider than a Dalek, and you're going to go down there through that gap, around that bin, and then back up through that. And if you can do that without hitting anything, you're all fine. So about 60-70% of us did that, and it was all fine. And then, right, okay, right, said Nick. Said, yeah, that's all good. And said, Nick, you need to do it. Bang. Right, yeah, you're not good enough, Nick. It was a good day.
So are you given that sort of training and movement session for every character you play, even those that are perhaps more sort of prosthetic suits?
I mean, sometimes for, let's see, what was it for? Sniperbots. Not last series, but the series before, Jodie's first. We were given the costumes, and also for the Shadowkin in class. We were given the costumes, and then we were kind of asked, so how do you think these things would move? And it's like, well, kind of like this. Which in some ways is good because it gives us a little more flexibility at the start, especially with the costumes, because the cyber warriors look brilliant, really uncomfortable to wear because they don't fit anywhere and they just cut into you, and it's like, no, we can't modify them. But you kind of get the legion of stompy things that are all moving in unison, which is fine for Cybermen and the Sniperbots because they're robots and they're all kind of interlinked. When it comes to things like the Jadoon, they're not military, they're not robots, they're not part of a hive mind, they're police, and they're all kind of stomping in unison and being all militaristic, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it's nice. I mean, it's when they're marching along, brilliant, but then it's like, no, everyone turns in unison. Have you ever seen police work in unison like that? I mean, it's a kind of personal bugbear, but there's an awful lot of very similar stompy things out there.
So something like the Jadoon that had already been in the series, do you get to go back and look at what they did, or do you just sort of start afresh? Of course, because Paul Casey was the leader in both their appearances.
Yeah, I mean, Paul Casey and John Davey were there with us as Jadoon, and it's like, right, this is how the Jadoon move, and we looked at them and we go, yeah, okay, fair enough, and then we did that. It really is very easy when you've got the originals there with you.
And particularly for the Jadoon, a lot of that was done on location, which I imagine can't have been that comfortable. It was particularly hot. But how do you deal with that, the crowds that watch? Because, of course, any Doctor Who filming attracts an audience.
Yeah. I mean, it isn't so bad because as long as you know, well, as long as the production has full. I can't remember the word. I'm sorry. After all these weeks in, my English has left me. Full control over the area. Then it's like, right, this is the angle we're getting. This is the framing. So anyone who wants to watch can come up to here and come up to there, and we'll get the crowd ADs and the runners out. And we'll get tape and barriers up. So that's fine. When you're filming right next to a road, and you're shooting inside, and you've got to get some outdoor shots. It's a lot harder because you've got the location, but you can't control the outside because you haven't rented the outside unless, and if you have, you're going to shut down the entire street. So yeah. So we had like 3 Jadoon going into the cafe. I was left outside just guarding the door. And I had people just coming up and going, hey, right, selfie. And what? We're shooting inside, god damn you. And cars going past, blasting horns and things, although that didn't happen as often as yeah, let's just finish that sentence there.
And something like the Kerblam robots or the Sniperbots, I imagine they're more of a costume with sort of head and hands rather than a full prosthetic like the Shadowkin. Are they much easier to work with, or does it depend on the individual character?
They're much easier to kind of live in on a day-to-day basis. But they've all got their drawbacks. Like the Kerblam Postman, as all the heads were made out of the same mold, obviously, and the eyes were ever so slightly too far apart. So you couldn't see through both eyes. So your dominant eye would be looking through one of these tiny holes, trying to find out what the hell's going on, and your non-dominant eye would desperately be trying to look through the other eye to match up. And then when you take off your helmet, you realize that both your eyes, instead of doing that, are now doing this, and it's really weird and gives you a massive headache. So costume-wise, absolutely brilliant. It's just a bit of a suit, some shoes, but this head just ruins your eyes. And the Sniperbot, again, just pretty much normal costume. At the end of the series, we were given a cloak to go with it. But then the helmet goes on, and you realize that the eye holes with the mesh on are slightly too low or slightly too high for your eyes, depending on the shape of your head. I don't think anybody could actually see forward. And we had to march down passageways and go through doors, and it's like, right, okay, so I can see your feet, so I'm going to be following you, and the person in front is going, right, well, I can see up here, so I can see the top of the doorway, so I can see when it opens. So yeah, swings and roundabouts. I thoroughly enjoyed the Shadowkin outfits because they were warm, and when you're shooting outside in a quarry in Wales, night shoots, when it's raining all the time, you want warmth. Because they were covered in latex, they were waterproof. The helmets were waterproof. They were warm. After a scene ends, so all the PAs and the ADs would be coming out, and costume would be coming out with their big coats and putting them on the actors, and we'd be there going, "Oh God, it's too hot. Take off my helmet. Take off my helmet. There we go. Right, just let me air. Right." And then the thirds would come out. It's like, right, okay, so you can go back. You can go back into your little truck. And it's like, no, we're staying out here. We're far too hot. So yeah, swings and roundabouts to everything.
So it must be quite nice to play more humanoid parts as well, because you play unit soldiers, various either humans or aliens that are just painted people. Is that quite nice to have the combination of two?
It is, yeah. I mean, unit soldier for the 50th was just amazing. Is Trafalgar Square. Yeah, we got submachine guns. We're surrounded by people. We've actually got real policemen behind us because we've actually got live guns on set. We've got, I think we had 2 armorers for that one, and yeah, we're just in London with a helicopter coming in, and we're unit soldiers. This is amazing, comfortable as well. The Red Men for Husbands of River Song, me and Andreas, or as the Baked Bean Men as we called ourselves, that was really comfortable because it was just red shirt, black trousers, some shoes, and everything else is just painted red. So yeah, it's just like it's just like sitting at home, really.
So how does Doctor Who compare to other productions? It must be quite a unique one in terms of the range of things you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, every time you go in, it's just, right, okay, you're booked for Doctor Who. Brilliant. I don't know what we're doing. Occasionally, you'll get some sort of code name, and you can, if it's a well-known monster, you can work out what it is. But yeah, you just go in and it goes, right, what are we wearing? There. hell's that? Oh, we're wearing New Rock boots again. Okay, fair enough. But generally, it's always fun. The costume guys are brilliant. But yeah, the entire production is like a family. It's probably some of the best atmosphere I've ever had and ever seen in any studio and any production. I mean, compared to shoots like Star Wars, it runs like a machine. It has to. Everything is massive, and there's just millions being poured into things, and you can see that's like there's been massive amounts of time and pre-production and money just being thrown at it. And then you go into the Doctor Who studios and you go, all right, that set's okay. The back of that set's been recycled from this, and that's that. Okay, right. Yeah, we can see the rivets and screws in on that. You're not going to see that on screen, but it's on a massive production thing. It's like every single detail is going to be perfect. Doctor Who, it looks great on screen. When you're actually there in the studio and looking at things, you're going, what are they thinking? What on earth are they thinking? And then you see it on screen and go, that is exactly what they were thinking. That's good. So yeah, it's, you never know what you're going to see, what you're not going to be able to tell people the next day. It's just a wonderful experience, and it's one of the things. Even if my main camera work gig really steps up, I don't think Doctor Who is ever going to be something I'll be able to give up.
I suppose one story that we should mention was your latest encounter with Jodie Whittaker as a Cyberman, and that was a story which I had, I think, great scale and ambition for it. How was that to work on? Did it feel particularly special at the time?
It's always good to be a kind of new breed of something. So yes, I missed out on the original Cybus episode for the Cybermen, and I missed out on Nightmare in Silver, Cybermen first episode. But I've been lucky enough to go back as both. But so to go in as the new breed of cyber warriors, it just felt good. It felt right, even though the costumes don't fit anyone, and you can't go up and down stairs. And when you move, the spikes fall off the legs because, they're just held on by Velcro. And if you go through a door and you slightly misjudge it, the spikes on the shoulders will fall off. I mean, Ray has done a fantastic job of designing those costumes. But yeah, that as a design, they're brilliant. As something to wear, not so much. And Jodie and Mandip and all the rest of them, it's the first time they saw it, it was like, wow, this is amazing. And when we were working in Aberthorpe Power Station for the interior, the cybership shots, they said it's actually really quite disturbing with all the lights and the smoke and the water dripping, seeing all of these glowing blue cyber warriors coming out of the darkness and marching towards it. It's really quite something. So there was something very special about that. And we kind of revisited that in... Did we revisit that? Oh, no, we revisited that in the Doctor Who Live thing for the showcase in Liverpool with the Jadoon and the Cybers, when we're flogging off all the BBC stuff to the rest of the world.
So that must be, a sort of quite a special thing to Doctor Who, that you do live events with the public. The showcase, the Jadoon in Waterloo State. That must be very particular. And is that perhaps more rewarding because you get that immediate response?
Yes, I was very lucky to be part of the Symphonic Spectacular, which was, 5 years ago now? Yeah, 5 years. I think I got the pictures coming up on my memories on Facebook at the moment. So yeah, the live events are amazing. There's nothing quite like it because you know that there are no retakes. And if there are no retakes, you have to do your utmost to be the best monster you possibly can. So, yeah, Symphonic Spectacular, we did the launch of the new series in London, Victoria, as the Jadoon. And that was an awful lot of fun. So just wandering around as the Jadoon, scaring children, stalking the parents, getting some press shots, and then, right, okay, everyone back on the train. Brilliant. And the response to that was amazing. Yeah, there's nothing like live events. Absolutely love them.
If you had to pick one, is there a particular favourite character or perhaps easiest character to work as?
Ooh. There are no easy monsters. There really aren't. Obviously, the easiest character was just the Red Man, because I'm wearing clothes, and for my prosthetics, I've got some face paint. That was the easiest gig ever. All I had to do was just razor my head. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, there are no easy characters. They've all got their challenges. Probably the easiest from any point of view where you've got the full thing on would be, I would say, the Shadowkin, because it was comfortable, it was form-fitting, it was waterproof, it was warm, and you could move really easily in it. And as a monster performer, those are all things that you want.
Well, on that important advice as a Doctor Who monster, I'd just like to say thank you very much for your time. It's been lovely to talk to you about some of your work.
Thank you very much. It's been wonderful accidentally answering about 60% of your questions.